Okay, so in one of my recent videos about the cosmic pendulum, which I will link at the end of this video, I talked about how, there's a cycle of humanity and the way that the universe operates and moves from total chaos to total harmony. And I believe right now we are moving towards an endpoint of total harmony. Like that is coming. But what does that mean? So, throughout history, and you can read into this, many religions, philosophers, occultists, mystics, even some scientists, seers, psychics, you name it, kind of all over the place. All these people have referred to, or at least alluded to, a return to source, a return to divinity, the creator, a return to the heavens, something like that. And what does that mean? What is a return to source? What is a return to creator? I believe that in the beginning there was nothing, and to nothing we shall return, and that nothing is the void. And the way that the void has been explained to me, and the way that I've experienced it, is it feels like, if you think of this cosmic pendulum as a cycle of breath, where you breathe in, hold your breath, release it, hold again, and the void is that moment in between the breath. So when you breathe in and hold the breath right there, that moment is the infinite potential of creation. Everything that can and will ever exist exists within that held moment of breath. And when it is released, that is how creation unfolds. And that's what I believe the void to be, is kind of that in between, that held breath, that moment of complete, ultimate, cosmic peace. And I believe that that is where we are headed as a collective, to that, to return to that moment of infinite potential. And what that means is essentially all the individual pieces coming together and reharmonizing as one, as the singularity, as the source of all creation, which feels really, really beautiful to me. That's what it means to merge with your creator, I think, in my opinion. And um, but okay, now we're getting to the point of this video. I believe that the dark forces, the controllers of the realm right now, are trying to interrupt this pattern. They know that this is coming, but they're trying to prevent it. They're trying to find a loophole. And that's where this whole agenda to have humanity merge with the machine and to forget their divinity and everything that's happening in the spiritual war to poison, destroy, divide us, is ultimately so that they can maintain their control within this realm. They like it. It feels good. There's a lot of power and energy and, loosh and all that kind of stuff. They have so much agency. Like, they're literally controlling the realm. That's why they're called the elites, the controllers, the dark forces, all of these things. And, but it's not going to happen, I think. Okay. And I want to talk about this because there's been a lot of evidence, I think, about how the timelines are being messed with. I've talked about this in earlier videos as well. And there's evidence in like official governmental documents and projects and operations. And the one that sticks out the most for me that I really want to get into in this video is Project Looking Glass. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. There is a lot of speculation around it because there's an official story and there's an unofficial version as well. But it is a legit CIA operation or project, called Project Looking Glass. And first of all, that's an interesting name, Looking Glass. It feels very Alice in Wonderland to me. And that we'll loop back to that in a second here. And what is sorry, my cat is just coming to hang out, distracting me a little bit. Okay, and now the crows. there's a lot of energy, a lot of information, a lot of stuff happening here right now. Okay, but let's get into it. So, Project Looking Glass, the official CIA explanation or documents on this project state this, that after 9/11, the CIA really wanted to figure out, okay, how do we prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future? How do we study team dynamics using spy games, like spy game simulations, to replicate team dynamics and see, okay, how could this have been prevented in the first place? And how do we prevent future terrorist attacks in like going forward? And what this led to was the discovery of collective intelligence. Now, collective intelligence is absolutely something that exists. If you are intuitive at all, if you have taken plant medicines, then you know, you have experienced it, you have felt it. And it has been confirmed by science and the CIA. And during this project, they discovered that through this collective intelligence, this collective consciousness, so to speak, that the team is going to operate in a certain way based on the biases and the knowledge, the intelligence, the influence of the members of the team, and certain things are simply unpreventable based on that central collective intelligence, that there is always going to be a group think mode that will take over the collective and move things towards a certain outcome. And so that in itself is super interesting and absolutely plays into the unofficial version, which goes like this. So that Project Looking Glass is actually, there's a lot more to it. Like, yes, that's part of it. However, there are these secret devices that the CIA has been using within this project, and it's all about time viewing, remote viewing, looking at future possibilities, probabilities, things like that. So yes, how do we prevent things from happening in the future? By literally going down that timeline and seeing what it looks like, and alternate timelines, potential different future outcomes, and all of these things are apparently accessible through this project with the CIA. And so there was a whistleblower. His name is, Dan Burish. And he claimed that he was part of this project. He worked for Area 51. That is verifiable. He worked on a floor called Alice in Wonderland, Project Looking Glass. I don't know, seems to be a connection there, probably just a coincidence. And he says that this Project Looking Glass was part of the Stargate project, and that they were using Sumerian artifacts that had been discovered much prior, and quantum mechanics, in order to create these time viewing devices. And super top secret. And in fact, there has been many documents that are debunking all of this. And Dan Burge himself has been completely slandered, made to look like a crazy homeless weirdo, and basically like he's insane, making it all up, right? Which kind of convenient. How many times has there been a top secret CIA operation, and then a few years or decades down the road, they say, actually, you know what, it was true. We told you it was fake, but yeah, we did it. I'm not saying that this is the case here, but it seems to follow a pattern. And anyhow, so Dan Bush revealed that through these, through the use of these Sumerian artifacts, that they discovered by looking into the future that all the timelines converge at a singular point in 2012. Now, Whether that's true, whether that happened in 2012 or not, whether we even know when 2012 is, I personally believe that our timeline and calendar has been hijacked big time, and we actually don't know what year we're currently living in. So, when is 2012 actually? Who knows? Who can really say? But, 2012 came and went. That's when at CERN they discovered the Higgs boson. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I may have that wrong, but basically the God particle that happened in 2012. And among, like the Mayan number, the Mayan calendar calculations and predictions and that whole thing, that year 2012 is pretty significant, and is pretty significant with Project Looking Glass, according to Dan Brush. And so what they discovered is that the timelines converged, and this is something that has been revealed to me in my meditations, in my plant medicine ceremonies, that the timelines are converging, have been collapsing. I don't believe that we're at a point right now where we're living in one singular timeline. It's very possible. However, I personally have been accessing other timelines. So they're still out there. Things are still happening. Other dimensions are existing. I don't think we're at that singular convergent point yet. So are we at 2012? Whatever that means. Perhaps it's a code. Who really knows? But there's a lot of theories around this Project Looking Glass and the outcome of it based on what this whistleblower has revealed. And, like that the dark forces, the controllers of the realm, have looked into all these possible outcomes and discovered that they cannot win, that there is not a future timeline where they are able to find that loophole that I was talking about earlier, and to completely remove us from our divinity and our consciousness and prevent the outcome of total harmony and returning to that endpoint in the cosmic pendulum. And that's interesting to me because I agree. I don't think that there is a way that they can do it. We are all part of the singularity, all part of the collective, all part of source, including the dark forces. And all of us need to return together and do this in harmony, right? But my theory is, I want to go back to CERN a little bit here, is that they are using CERN to loop us back to certain checkpoints, so to speak, in the timeline where, because like we'll get to a certain point in humanity and it's clear, like, okay, anything that's done past this point means that we're moving towards this endpoint, and that, the light forces are going to win the spiritual war, and the dark forces are like, wait a second, reset, let's go back. Here's a checkpoint. If we go back to this point, we can fix it, or, fix it in their way. We can release AI earlier, release this earlier, this psyop, this division. Let's throw everything at them all at once. And that's really what it feels like is happening, that we are being reset. And I know I'm not the only one to have this theory. People are talking about it. I want to hear your thoughts as well, because I really think that this theory explains things like deja vu. I've experienced deja vu my entire life. I was born in the 80s, early 80s, and my grandmother used to say that when you have deja vu, it means you're back on track. And I'm like, okay, well, how does that mean? That, like, what does that mean? That means that there has to be a track for me to go on, that I went off it and I'm back on it. So how did I loop back to be back on the track? Anyhow, I always used to think about that. Like, deja vu is a big thing for me, and it's been happening way more lately within the past couple years. So I think that we probably looped back, probably back to the 80s. Maybe every time CERN was turned on or upgraded or things like that, there's been a loop. I think it explains the Mandela effect. I think it explains all the variants and anomalies that we're experiencing individually and collectively with time. There's a lot of things going on, and people are talking about it. People are noticing a lot more than usual. Before, it was like the crazy person in the street, the end is near and Jesus is coming. But we're seeing more and more of that, to the point where Are we all crazy? Are we all insane? Or is there something to it? So, what do we do? If time is looping, is there anything that we can do? I believe yes. I think that we need to stay focused and remember who we are, that we are divine. Stay united. Do not let them divide us. There are so many psychological operations going on right now, and I'm going to start diving into those one by one. And to remain fearless. So, one of the things that the dark forces really leverage is our fear, our uncertainty, our doubt, and things that really drive strong emotion and actions down a certain path that lead us away from our divinity, from our enlightenment and connection with each other and with the collective. Okay. Remember, the CIA through Project Looking Glass have admitted, like this is part of the official story, that there is a collective, oh, there's a bug, that there is a collective intelligence. There is a collective consciousness that we can tap into and connect with at any time. And I believe that they need CERN to create portals, but we do not need CERN to create portals. I had an incredible experience last night that I'm not going to get into because it was a lot, but it's also not the only one. But I believe that we can create portals as well, that we are portals. I'm getting incredible buzzing in my ear right now because it is true. We can create portals. We are portals. We have access to the other timelines. We can bring information. We can manipulate this realm way more than they want us to think. We are so powerful. We are co-creators of this place. And if we continue to remember that and we don't get caught up in the system, in the matrix, in the things that they are trying to distract us with and divide us with, it is unbelievable. The dark forces work non-stop every single day. They're following the astrology. They know the moon phases. They know the aspects to the nodes, which are our fate points, our destiny and our karma. And that relates to time as well. They use Saturn, and Saturn manifests things into this realm. Learn your astrology. Learn yourself. This is an inner work. The more you know yourself, your triggers, your shadows, and how you can remain calm, neutral, full of joy, love, the higher vibrations, gratitude for this place, connection with those around you, and you're not pulled into these agendas that they just have everywhere, then that is how we win. We win individually and we win together. And I truly believe that we can do this, you guys. And what I want to say, kind of as my final thought, is, are we stuck in a loop? I don't think we're stuck. I think that this is the one. We are consciously connecting to this timeline and doing the work in this timeline because this is it. We have chosen to go down this path. Ultimately, we are all consenting spiritual beings in this reality. And we know that the dark forces are doing their thing. They know that we're doing our thing. Ultimately, we're working together to get out of the escape room or find total harmony, to play the game, to experience this wild ride. And the end is already written. We just have to go through the motions. We just have to experience it, stay true. And that's the last point also that I want to make, is how to know what's true, what the truth is really to connect to your internal wisdom, your internal guiding system, and to really pay attention to the signs, synchronicities, the symbols, the confirmations, the affirmations that you are getting in your life, because your soul, your body, your mind, it all knows. And when you get a chill, when you see, I don't know, a feather or a star or whatever your signs may be, perhaps like a spirit animal, when you're meditating and a vision comes in, really pay attention to all this stuff, you guys. It is real. It is legit. Work with your spirit guides, work with your astrology, really know thyself. That is what it's about. There's so much more that I could go into, but I wanted to keep this one a little bit more accessible. I'll dive into some other topics in other videos. If there's things that you want to go deeper into, let me know. If you have questions about Project Looking Glass or the Stargate project, which Looking Glass is allegedly part of, that's a huge umbrella, major rabbit hole to go into. A lot of fun with the official versions versus the unofficial. And yeah, there is so much more to this realm and what we can do. And I'm excited. I'm ready. Like, let's go. Let's bring in this spiritual revolution and the highest timeline. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this resonated with you, please like. This is a new channel and I'm looking to get these messages out there. Please share with your friends, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.